Alright, welcome back into another Dragon Ball Super Card Game video, and today I'm going to go through kind of a follow-up to my last budget video, and this one is going to be focusing on kind of the recently released Mythic Booster. And the whole goal of Mythic Booster was to increase the accessibility of a lot of cards, and a lot of those cards were, you know, well played or mostly played cards. Go through 4 different decks and a few specific cards in each of them that the Mythic Booster made a lot cheaper. It's not going to be as much of a variety since the last video was more for beginners, but this can easily be good for a beginner or anybody just looking to pick up a different deck or different archetype. First one up is Red Broly, and this guy has been around for a good amount of time. And the promo that the Mythic Booster actually printed out was reprinted a number of times, and now it resulted into basically less than $1 for this specific card. And for any of these decks, it should fall under that 60-70 range or less, just like the previous video as well. If you didn't know already, for Red Broly, he does focus on critical and being aggressive, and as well as the Red Broly swap engine. And he's been in and out of the format simply because there's been more and more answers for Red Broly, especially within yellow, summon in black, and just removal pretty much in anything. Not to mention the 2-drop Mecha Gabora kind of calls him down and just ruins the day for Red Broly. But that shouldn't let you down, because honestly, Red Broly is the perfect deck for those who don't expect it. If you take it to locals, or even to these upcoming fest events, I think there's going to be a number of people who won't expect it, and if you get really good at the deck and maybe even upgrade it, I think you're going to have really good results. He takes a life and gains critical on the unawakened side. He can untap 2 at 4 or less, and his activate main is to get a 1 red extra card from your deck, energy cost 1, and then negate the skill for the game. So you can do it once to get a King Vegeta's Imposing Presence, a Planet Vampa, which is probably going to be the target. You can always bump this up to 2 if you don't see it enough. And of course, is that all you got? Which you can replace these guys with other 1-drop red negates like Violent Rays, just depending on the matchup, and of course your budget. The awakened side is that if you have a Red Broly in play, Red Broly that is, this gains critical, and he gains 5k, and he gets to draw a card on attack. And then on either turn, it doesn't have a limit as long as you ditch a card, discard one, and then when one of your Red Broly cards is removed, you get to play a 4 or less from your hand. And those effects actually do go off, which every single one of these, well, not all of them, but the 4-drop, the 5-drop, and the 6-drop, which is basically your finisher and the most expensive card in the deck, warps a card for that turn until the next opponent's turn. So hand destruction, red goodness, and as well as aggressiveness is pretty much the name of the game for Red Broly. If you haven't seen the deck already, take a look in the description below, take it for a spin, and then let me know what you think. There are a couple of different tech cards, by the way. Again, and Vegeta Imposing Presence is really good. We do have the Lord Slug, so basically playing this, as soon as you do awaken, you have 2 pretty consistent critical attackers at 15k and 20k respectively. He does have some barrier removal, and as well as has this auto, which basically all your swap targets, all your Red Brolys, adds a marker where you can get to 4 or more easily and just make them take that damage, because eventually they're not going to want to take critical damage. Pen is at 1, it just really depends. This is probably better at 2 or 3, and then another 19k target, because originally the card to play this Piccolo Jr. Giant Force, which basically you get enough markers through the swap, you get to play this guy for 1, probably turn 1 or 2, and then you -6 in order to play 2 mono red battle cards with 3 or less and 19k power or less, which is going to be the Fearless Pan, any of your swap targets that are 19k or less, or this Goku here that has critical and can burst 3 and then KO one of your red cards to give it double strike and as well as swing it again. If you don't like the Red Slug and want something that you can play turn 1 or 2 for 1, then the Kale is going to be the best bet, where you can look at the top 3, get a mono red Saiyan among them, and then the -7 is that their leader card gets -15k for the turn, and then you get to play a swap card from your hand for free, which is going to be this guy as a 30k critical that makes the warp one, which is great. Some other additions is probably going to be the secret rare. I mean, this is more of a gimmick secret rare than anything, but it works perfectly for this deck, if anything, because as soon as you get this guy out, you just place that into the drop and play this for free, and then you get the following effects, getting your leader card 10k until the next start of your turn, and then all of their cards get minus 5k, which is just super strong. And then Fight Against Fate, it just depends on what your Overrealm slot wants to look like, so I think that's going to be the best bet. Speaking of Overrealm, the next one I have is going to be Goku Xeno, and I mean, if you haven't seen a Goku Xeno deck in a while, pretty much the thwarting is going to be the best bet for you to understand it. Basically a one cost double striker for 25k, or that has 25k and removes one, is going to be the name of the game. Recently, the True Fighting Spirit got a errata, so you can only have one on board with unique, but that doesn't really stop the cheapest card being less than $1 and being really strong, and then beyond all limits, also kind of bolstering affordability, of course. This one really focuses on the one drops, just doing damage with Pycon. The leader effect, well, obviously you can take one, draw one on the backside when you swing, you draw one when you Union Fusion, you untap one, draw one for 4 or less, and then same thing for both sides where you can warp the top 5. Unfortunately, the Trunks got banned, so can't really get free value from that, but you get to take 1 life and then give 2 of your black battle cards, and cost 1 10k until the end of the opponent's turn, which again, these guys, the True Fighting Spirit, Vegeta and Goku, the 1-drop critical boy, the 1-drop double striking boy, and as well as the Haru that has 10k in double strike, which is basically a 1 cost 15k double while you have Pycon. So 35 in total from the leader effect, Pycon, and as well as Haru. That's kind of hard to beat. It's just those type of simple things that make Goku Xeno really good as far even as a budget deck. There's some tech options here in the minus energy ball where you can remove something with barrier that has 15k or less, and I mean the biggest thing here is just throwing this down with your leader going 30k, and then Champa is going to be really good, or even your Unison, which is going to be the Pycon as well. This is sort of a placeholder for the TP Vegeta, in which makes them warp 1 and is free. You really don't want to play him unless you really want to swing 30k critical, and as well as Overrealm, and as well as remove something, but that is just really up to you. The Pan is the choice as far as the secret goes. It's free, it stops attacks, and you can take control of something. Is probably one of the best secret rares, if not the best right now. And then Finn as another tech option is great. I mean, it's an underrated card, honestly. And every black deck I play them, it costs 2 specified black, so you have to watch out for that. But basically, it is a board wipe where they can only choose 1 of their cards. If you're looking for something a little aggressive and that plays a little bit quicker than most black decks, then this one's going to be for you. Unlike this one, where Vegex is surprisingly now getting errated with the burst 3, untap 1, draw 1 at 4 or less, or 21 more and drop. And then the backside is kind of the same thing. It's just that you drop or you draw and then you burst, and then you get to choose one of your Unison cards, which is going to be this guy that gains double. And now Vegex has kind of evolved into more of a mid-range deck to me. I love the deck. It's cheap and it's easy to play. I mean, it's always been easy to play. It runs at 58 because you're going to be overwhelming over and over again and just milling yourself out. This plays the same Gogeta engine as the other, just with 1 or less 1-drops, that is. You still have the True Fighting Spirit, and as well as the super combo in order to get the fusion pieces, and as well as the 2 30ks that we looked at before. But now we're looking at Revive Ravager Vegeta for Overrealm 3 for free and 30k, or critical 15k. And you get to mill 3, so that way your Kais, your Trunkses, your Vegetas mill out. We do have Demigra, which is just great. You're going to have it online pretty much turn 1, turn 2, just depending on what you do. And it is just awesome as a removal, drawing, and of course, the Mythic Booster has made this a lot cheaper. The other tech cards being the IAR Majin Buu, where you get to mill out 4 and then remove something from their drop, which is really good for draw apes and things like that. And the 15k boost is really great as well. Fighting Against Fate is also in here just to finish the game out. We do have 2 Champa, which again, you're milling out and you're overwhelming quite a lot, so it's really good just to have another. You can even throw another, like a third one, but I don't recommend it because of RNG. You just will see so many Champas. I just don't understand it. It just happens so often. The Boo is really good for drawing, as long as your energy is all black and you get to pay 1 when this is into the drop. You get to draw 2 and pitch 1. As far as the cards to add or replace, again, the Vegeta is going to be the TP to get. The Kai is really good because you're going to be overwhelming as soon as turn 2. You're probably going to have this active to be 1 cost to pretty much stop 2 attacks and as well as certain effects, especially against this new red Goku deck. If they misplay and swing with the leader after they play the Goku to wipe the board, you can play this and then remove that, and now they can't see your hand, as well as getting that double strike dual attack. And then this Gogeta is great because it's just again, this more mid-range version of Vegex, this sort of evolved. You can even awaken on turn 4 if you need to, and this guy being 4 cost and having the targets in the deck, you can remove 2 from their hand and field, and it is a triple attack blocker. Last one is going to be Cooler. If you don't know Cooler already, he swings on both sides, and basically when on the front side, when the power is decreased on one of their battle cards, they have to mill 1. So the mill strategy to win here is most likely mill, and as well as the back end of red-blue aggressiveness and just filling the board up with a bunch of. Get to awaken at 4 or less, untapping and drawing 1, and then on the back side, instead of only on their opponent's turn that you draw on both turns, and you still get the milling effect when you mill. Or when you minus, I should say. This is on the red-blue package in Arrival, getting the coolers to minus something, 10k ignoring barrier for 2 things, and effectively milling out 3 things. This is one of the Mythic Booster things or cards or choices, whatever you want to call it, that made this a lot cheaper over time. Same thing for this champ pack, where you get to now play the 5-drop Frieza. As long as you're not playing against blue, it's going to be a good bet, especially, well, blue and yellow, I should say. As long as it not get rested, as long as it doesn't get Trunks, this is going to be the card to play for sure. But if not, you still have Jiren, where they have to minus 10k, or you can minus 10k anything that they play. Videl, where you minus 20 for 2 different things, which is just going to be a monster depending on what you're going against. Spirit Boost 1 is going to be really easy when this guy comes out, basically for 4 and a 20k double striker. The Hercule Blue is just awesome because you get to draw, you get to minus, and you get to return any of your red or blue cards, effectively any of the coolers, any of the 1-drop freezes that you can draw and then use the effect and then return it back, any of the combo attack coolers that you return your Frieza, or your 3-drop Friezas, or really any other targets that you want to add. Well, yeah, a suggestion that I would put in this deck specifically, if you ever have issues with it, is basically Self-Awakening. I think the Awakening Talent Pan, along with Testing Opposition, is probably going to be the best bet for you. And the only card I can really think of to add is going to be the Gohanks. It's going to be the Gohanks Secret Rare, where you minus pretty much everything, all their battle cards, ignoring barrier, minus 25k, and then when they attack with the battle card, you can just choose it and minus 25k, get the draw off of that, and as well as mill. And then he is a dual attacking blocker that gets to restand for that minus 4 and 15k triple attack, or triple strike. That's all I got for you. Hopefully I broke down the decks enough to kind of understand what they want to do. You can take a look at all of the lists in the description below. I'm sure you've already clicked in the description to take a look anyway. Let me know what you think as far as an upcoming or newer player, a seasoned player, one who's kind of getting back into the game or getting out of it, whatever you want to tell me. Let me know in the comments below. Like, dislike, all that other stuff. Subscribe if you're new. See you next one.